2023 is shaping up to be quite a year for MMOs. Whether it ultimately results in a good or bad year is at present undecided, but there are a surplus of titles confirmed to be releasing this year, and even more entering test phases of some sort. And while we're eagerly anticipating Throne and Liberty and Blue Protocol, both games that I have been covering since their conception, something I'm equally as intrigued by is Project DW, a brand new open world action MMO from the same people that brought us Dungeon Fighter Online, confirmed to be set within the same intellectual property. If Project BBQ's cancellation last year left you upset, distraught, disappointed, then this right here might leave you in arguably better spirits. What always leaves me in high spirits is all of our patrons over on Patreon. It is incredible the support that you guys continue to give me every month, and I cannot thank you all enough for that. Also, if you have a minute, consider following me over on Twitch. I stream every weekend. Now, admittedly, Dungeon Fighter Online is generally considered to be one of the greatest hub MMOs that is currently available. This is a game that I have played every single year for the last 8 years, and every time I return to it, I have equally as much fun as the last, selecting a new class to play, slowly progressing your character. In terms of anime MMOs, or even further, action MMOs, Dungeon Fighter retains one of the flashiest, most engaging action combat systems that I have ever experienced. It is one of the reasons that I cannot seem to stay away. Project BBQ was supposed to elaborate on what made Dungeon Fighter Online successful by taking the intellectual property into an entirely new direction, an open world MMO. I continued to cover Project BBQ for years, up until the moment the studio reevaluated whether it would be beneficial to continue to develop it as an MMO, or instead pursue an alternate route. They chose the latter, and last year it was confirmed that Project BBQ, the successor to Dungeon Fighter Online, would essentially become the Elden Ring, but anime. This left a lot of people upset, and that upset was warranted. We had been waiting several years to be able to play this game, and the entire MMO aspect was just scrapped, purely because Elden Ring ended up an international sensation. Fast forward to 2023, and according to MMO Culture, a brand new Dungeon Fighter Online game is being developed. The original Dungeon Fighter Online is a PC exclusive MMO developed by DevCat and published by Nexon. DevCat is a subsidiary of Nexon, meaning that Nexon technically own rights to the game, which is where things get a little bit more interesting. Nexon, back in 2021, established a new studio simply referred to as Nexon Games. Nexon Games is in charge of developing this new Dungeon Fighter Online title completely disconnected from DevCat. This raises a red flag for me, due to the fact that not only do Nexon have a terrible track record with their video games, but DevCat managed to somehow masterfully craft Dungeon Fighter Online, cutting out the original studio and bringing in new programmers with absolutely no knowledge or understanding of what even made the Dungeon Fighter property successful in the first place is an immediate sign that this will be a completely different type of game, one that is probably quite significantly different from the original. Very little has been revealed with regards to the new project yet. They've titled it as Project DW, which really doesn't hold any significance to me or anyone that I've talked to concerning the game. However, unlike Project BBQ, which was being developed with PC and console crossplay functionality in mind, it looks as though Project DW is going to be built with both platforms, including mobile functionality in mind. And you know what? Now, do not go jumping to immediate conclusions yet. Yes, they confirmed there would be a mobile functional iteration of the game, but this is not the first Korean studio to announce a PC console game and later on port it over to mobile. NCSoft have even expressed interest in mobile functionality for Throne and Liberty, even though that game is built exclusively for PC and for console platforms at present. This marks a multitude of Dungeon Fighter properties currently in development at both DevCat and Nexon. The already released Dungeon Fighter Online and Dungeon Fighter Duel, the upcoming Dungeon Fighter Overkill MMO, the Dungeon Fighter Elden Ring RPG, and now the inclusion of Project DW, an open world online action RPG, much like what we were initially promised Project BBQ would be. There is no confirmed release date slated for Project DW at present. 2023 is highly unlikely unless they're already largely through the development process, which I highly doubt. We still don't have a confirmed release date for Overkill yet, and that was announced, what, a year ago too? They also haven't expressed whether DW is going to feature a simultaneous global release, similar to how they launched Dungeon Fighter Duel. But given the success and popularity of the Dungeon Fighter intellectual property outside of Korea, it wouldn't surprise me if we got it relatively soon after its Korean release. Now, it is also worth noting that the scale of the game, while completely open world, might not necessarily be as large, as grand as we expect. Heck, it might only allow up to 5 players to play cooperatively together. It might allow for 20, maybe 100. Only time will tell the true restrictions, the true limitations that have been imposed on this game. Regardless, I'm still incredibly excited. A new Dungeon Fighter MMO coming directly after Overkill. Dude, sign me up. But if Dungeon Fighter properties are not your thing, don't worry, I got you covered with 2 videos on screen right now. One featuring a list of every confirmed MMO releasing this month, January 2023, and the other featuring a recently announced MMO that you should totally check out.